إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. فأما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. Verily all praise and glory is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is due to Him and none other. We worship Him, we seek His forgiveness, and we ask for His mercy. And we testify and we state that there is no God or deity worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and His last messenger. O you who believe, fear Allah, the fear that He is most deserving of you, and do not die unless you are in the state of Islam. And as to what follows, the best of speech is the book of Allah, and the best of guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst of matters is innovation in the religion, and innovation in the religion leads to misguidance, misguidance leads to the hellfire. Wal-'iyadhu billah. And as to what follows, when we receive a message from a loved one, we get excited, we get happy, we want to check it, we want to see what's in it, what are the contents, what are the details. Whether it's a message from our father, our mother, our child, a dear friend, an old friend, our spouse, whatever it may be, we're always excited and we want to check it immediately, instantly. And we all have received a message from a loved one, from our Creator, from the Creator of the heavens and the earth, from our Master, from our Owner, from our Sustainer, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this message, of course, is none other than the Quran. The Quran, the greatest miracle that was revealed. It was revealed in the Arabic language and is still in the Arabic language, unaltered, unchanged, memorized at the time from the companions, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and written down, and then compiled. Until today we have millions upon millions of people memorizing it by heart from cover to cover. And we have millions upon millions of copies of the Quran all over the world, translated in so many languages. This book that has awed the people, every person that listens to it, it affects them, whether they understand or not. It has signs of the future that we see unfold till today. It has scientific miracles that we still discover till today. It is truly a book of guidance, and it is truly a message that is a mercy to all mankind. This khutbah will focus on improving our relationship with this message and improving our relationship with this book. The first step to improve that relationship is to first spend some time with it, to actually commit time to it, to read it and recite. It's no coincidence that the first word that was revealed was Iqra, read, recite. And this is something that is needed by all of us. Every single one of us needs this, needs to recite the Quran for many reasons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this as a code, as a manual of life. And in order to have a good and successful life in this dunya, we know we have to see, we have to read it. We have to know what's in it. In order to have a successful akhirah, we have to know what's in it. So it is something that we actually need on a daily basis. Not only that, but on top of that, it is something that will guide us towards the right direction on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Something that we need. And the Quran itself is part of the dhikr, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are composed of two parts, body and soul. And we treat our body very well in terms of food, and we keep on giving it food all the time. There doesn't go a single day that goes by without feeding it. However, the soul needs some food too. The soul needs nourishment. And the nourishment of the soul is the dhikr and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the best type of dhikr is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the Quran. So we need it for our own spirituality, to elevate us to a higher level of iman. It is something that is needed in order for us to stay focused on the right path that's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that should be sufficient. I mean, if we tell you that you read the Quran and that's sufficient for that is needed, is for your own benefit, then that should be sufficient. But on top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His generosity and mercy, He gives us a bonus as well. And that is, He rewards us for it. He rewards us for reciting the book, His book. So He tells us, you read it, you will benefit from it, and on top of that, you will be rewarded for it. What better deal can we get? We all know the hadith saying that you will get one reward for every letter, and every reward is multiplied by 10. And if we count how many letters in the Quran, over 300,000. So technically, we can just reading the Quran cover to cover will make us millionaires. Millionaires in what? In the hereafter currency, which is the hasanat. It's very difficult to become millionaires in this dunya. We spend so much time working after hours upon hours upon hours, overtime, whatever it may be, just to earn that living. However, it's much easier to become a millionaire in the akhirah. Just reciting the Quran. That is just one act of worship that can be done, and we have tons of hasanat. Millions of hasanat. On top of any other things. But it's so much easier for the akhirah. And it's open to everyone. It's not just for the elites or for anyone. It's open for everyone. Anybody who wants it. And on top of that, Allah subhanahu or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, whoever struggles in reciting the Quran will get double the reward. Get double the reward of if they struggle. If they put in the effort, they're sincere, then they get that double the reward. Now compare that to the dunya. If you have an employee that is struggling at work, most of the time, when it comes down to it, and they have to do some layoffs, that person is the first one to go. Or he might just get fired, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here does the opposite. He rewards the person double just for struggling and putting in that extra effort in order to read and recite the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And we have made this Quran easy for the remembrance. So will there be people that will do the remembrance? See, unfortunately nowadays, it's becoming more and more common that a day would go by without recitation of the Quran. That a day or 2 days or 3 days may go by, or a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks would go by without recitation of the Quran. And that has become a dangerous trend. And if we look at, usually, we all agree that it is an important thing to do. However, majority of the time, we always get distracted with many things to the point where we just don't get to it. And the problem is, we have to analyze where we spend our free time. Where are we spending our free time? Everybody's got work, everybody's got families, got school, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, at one point or another, we have free time. And where are we spending that free time? And is it, on social media? Is it on TV? Is it browsing the web, checking the news? What is it? In order for us to actually spend some time with the Quran, we have to commit time to the Quran. So every day we get busy, right? We get busy with many things, and if there's no set time, there's no commitment to that Quran, most likely it's just going to get pushed aside. So we all have these fluid schedules, whatever it may be, but at the end of the day, we all know when our free time is. And we all have to take out a portion of that free time to dedicate it to the Quran. Every single day. Again, it's food for the soul. And if we don't feed the soul becomes weak. And if days and weeks go by without feeding that soul, then the soul will just become weaker and weaker. And then when the soul and the spirituality is weaker, then that could lead the person to go astray. If you've seen those prisoners that go on hunger strikes, they go on days or weeks without food. And then you see their picture afterwards. How do they look like? They look like they're very weak, feeble. Why? Because they have not nourished the body. Same thing for the soul. If it's not nourished, it becomes weak and feeble. And with that, then distractions of life will just overcome. And will take control of our direction. And that's something that we should not want to do. Ubay ibn Ka'b, the Prophet ﷺ came to Ubay ibn Ka'b one time, and he told him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded me to recite the Quran to you. And in another narration, commanded me to tell you to recite the Quran. Either way, this companion, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, O Messenger of Allah, did Allah mention me by name? I mean, did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just tell you, go and recite to one of your companions and you just found me? Or did he tell you to recite to Ubay ibn Ka'b or tell Ubay ibn Ka'b to recite? He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned you by name. At that moment, he started to weep out of joy and happiness. My owner, my creator, my master mentioned me by name out of all these millions. And what earned him that honor? It is because he was of the people of the Quran. He was one of the best reciters of the Quran and combined it. So my dear brothers and sisters, the first step in order to improve the relationship with the Quran is to commit time to the Quran, dedicate time to the Quran. If we leave it open, it may just get delayed and we'll procrastinate, whatever it may be. We may get busy and we'll never get to it. So there has to be a specific time on a daily basis. After Fajr, before you sleep, after Salah, on your way to work, on your way back, whatever it may be, it just needs to happen. The second step, in order to improve that relationship, is to contemplate on the Quran, to understand what the Quran says, to reflect upon the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in so many places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ? Will they not reflect about the Quran? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ? So that perhaps you will remember. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? Will you not reflect? Perhaps they will reflect. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ? أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا? Will they not reflect upon the Quran, or are their hearts locked from understanding it? See, understanding the Quran is a great dimension to add. Recitation is very well needed, but then the next step is to understand. We want to understand what this message is. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us to do? How does He tell us to live our lives? He tells us about our beliefs. He tells us about what to do and what not to do. He tells us about what happened in the previous nations and their stories, so we can extract lessons from it, so that we don't repeat those mistakes. So much in the Quran that we need to do as a guide for our life. So we have to know and understand and reflect upon these words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once we do that, then it has a profound impact on our hearts and our spirituality and iman. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if we have sent down the Quran on a mountain, you will see it shake and tremble and fall down, coming apart from the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are the signs that we present to people so that they may reflect upon it. So reflecting and pondering understanding these words is essential for our iman. It's essential for our guidance. And the last thing that we want to do is recite things that we just don't understand on a daily basis. I've asked the youth multiple times just to tell me what they understand from Surah Al-Fatiha, a surah that they recite every single day, multiple times every day. Majority of them were not able to tell me what was the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha. I asked them, how about the smaller surahs? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدْ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Majority of them could not mention the meaning of all of the surah. So it's essential for us to, and this is just for the youth, but I mean, for all of us, this is something that we want to know, not just for the basic surahs that we recite on a daily basis. This is something that we all have to go through. But on top of that, we want to go through the whole Quran from cover to cover to see what is mentioned in there and what's said, so we can lead our life in that direction. Lastly, the last step from the basics that every single person needs to do is, the last step to improve our relationship is to practice and apply. We need to practice what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, for example, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, and say good to other people. And that's how we should be practicing the same words. What we don't want to do is turn around and be rude or use foul language. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا, and do not backbite one another. We don't want to turn around and start backbiting one another. Rather, we want to actually apply exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. The companions, when they received these words of Allah, they immediately applied. And the famous example, when the verses of banning alcohol were revealed. You know, alcohol wasn't banned from the beginning. It took a long time actually for it to be banned. And when it was banned, the companions who were just about to sip, the companions who were just about to pour, whoever had alcohol in their possession, everybody got rid of it immediately, without questions. Immediate application, immediate practice. And this is how the companions received and applied and reacted to these verses, and this is how we need to also react to it. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to do, then we immediately سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. Whatever says don't do, then سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. We will hear and we obey. We may understand the wisdom of it sometimes, and sometimes we may not. But that's not the point. The point is we have to obey. And then after that is an added bonus. These are the three steps, the basic steps to improve our relationship with the Quran, to spend some time and commit time to it, to understand, reflect, and contemplate about it, and to practice and apply. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. So, these are bare minimums, my dear brothers and sisters, that we all do. Every single Muslim should spend some time with the Quran and understand it, because it is a message from our Creator. And we have to do it in order to apply, because at the end of the day, we are bound by to do what is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to stay away from what He has forbidden. If we want to move on to the next steps, then we can move on to the next steps of memorization. And so many millions around the world have memorized it. And we have people that memorized it here in our community, mashallah. And then the next step after that is to teach it to others. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best of you are the ones who learn the Quran and teach it to others. And we have plenty of people who know the Quran and plenty of people who want to learn the Quran. So both of them, both groups need to get together and take action upon it. And a last message to the parents. You know, these steps, first, as parents, we have to apply, we have to do them. And then we also have to pass on this tradition of having a great relationship with the Quran to our kids, to the next generation. We don't want it to stop at us. We want it to continue to the next generation so that they can pass it on to the next generation. That relationship with the Quran is essential for the iman of the next generation and the generation after and the generation after. And every generation needs to pass it on to the next one. And we have to lead by example as we are role models. And then the next step is to take it on to the kids and put them in whatever programs or activities, whatever it may be. It could be at the masjid, or it could be in a school, or it could be online, whatever it may be. But there's all these avenues. All we have to do is just go look for it and it's there. These are the components that we need to do in order to improve our relationships. There's a lot more to the Quran. I urge myself and everyone to commit a time to the Quran on a daily basis. If you don't have one already committed, please commit one before you leave today. Just think about when you have free time and think about, I will take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, half a page on a daily basis, just so that we can spend it with the Quran and read the explanation of it so that we understand it. And then the next thing is we apply it. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. اللهم نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من عذاب القبر وعذاب النار. اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وذهاب همومنا وجلاء أحزاننا وغمومنا. اللهم اغفر لنا ما تقدمنا وما أخرنا. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. استقيموا واعتدلوا يرحمكم الله. سووا الصفوف وسدوا الفرج. Straighten the lines and fill the gaps. Barakallahu fikum. And just to remind you that there will be Salat al-Janazah right after Salat al-Jumu'ah. We will pray Salat al-Janazah right after Salat al-Jumu'ah inshallah. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. يا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. As we have announced, inshallah, we are going to have Salat al-Janazah, but right before that, I would like to share with you a few announcements. So tonight's lecture after Salat al-Isha, story of the prophets, please come and join us. There will be no youth program tonight, as our youth leaders will be attending the presentation of Sheikh Umar Sulaiman at MCC that will start at 7 p.m.